That sky is looking pretty harsh out there. Those ugly clouds rolling in. Those are some very dark, very thick clouds pulling in here. Rolling up on me like a big blanket. Ooh. Welcome back, Dorcas. We're in a, got a pretty thick storm rolling in here, man. Okay. I've been hearing thunder rolling in the background for a bit. But I just saw the clouds coming in from the south. Oh crap. That's pretty windy. And I might have to put the tarp down. Oh, I can hear it. I can hear the rain falling in the background. Like, man, what kind of wind is that? That is some gusty stuff. Man, I can't keep the tarp open if it's coming in like that when it starts raining. Sometimes the wind just gusts like that and then calms down right after it because you got different temperatures hitting each other. I'm hoping that it'll calm down before the rain hits. It's usually coming from the other way. I gotta secure that tarp though. Oh, yeah, I gotta tie this down. I leave that out, it'll get snatched. Can't even risk it with that kind of wind. Oh, sorry. There will be no view in the storm this time, apparently, until... at least not from that side. Maybe I can open up the other side a little. Man. See what I'm looking at on the other side here. Yeah. Nope. No, I don't dare open the tarp when it's that gusty. if it's that bad back here in the mangroves, it must be pretty rough in the open. Okay, we'll look at it like this. I might could at least get a little bit of view out there. There we go. That'll work. At least for now. Now I look like I'm in a deer stand. Yeah, I know, but it's just going to be an hour or two, maybe 3-4 hours. But it's that first storm front until the cold and hot airs equalize. And usually I don't worry too much about some thunder, lightning, rain, but the wind starts whipping real hard. I gotta pull the tarps down and ooh. It's kind of why I picked this spot. Excuse me, I picked this spot because it's so well protected from all of this. Oh, good. I got back to work today. And you know what? I think the dude, I don't want him to feel bad about shit. You know, we all have our days. And I think he was just having a shit day. You know, but he acted like he wanted to go, I don't know, it was very, been putting off buying a floor jack and jack stands, and he went and spent $300 on a floor jack and jack stands today. And not a bad deal. 3-ton floor jack for $150. No, he spent $200 because it was $150 for the floor jack. And $50 for the jack stands. Both 3-ton. So now I can lift his van and his truck up off the suspension. I need to check the suspension on his van, but I also it feels like his brakes are spongy, and I need to bleed the brakes on his van. And at least the suspension on his truck, the front end, there's something wrong with it. I think he's been wanting to either sell or use that truck. It's just kind of useless because the whole front end's all messed up. You can't take it on the highway. He's got like a Dodge Ram 1500 sitting in the driveway. He was telling me, the funny thing is, he was telling me he felt like something was wobbling. And so he turned off the radio and was driving to work this morning to his place. And I couldn't feel or hear any wobbling in the front end suspension, but there was some tape on the back window that was flapping in the wind. And I think that's what he was hearing. Because when I secured that flapping tape, he stopped It's like it stopped. But that's all right. It's not wasted money. A set of jack stands and a jack means I can go through the front end of his truck and check on it, and I can bleed the brakes on the van easier. Get it up off the ground a little bit. Yeah, I don't know, Devin. I don't know what that was all about. You know, maybe I'm just jumping to conclusions, but it was just weird to me. I mean, he had barely been a viewer. Like, he didn't, I don't know, man. It was weird, but he just showed up, chatted a day or two, and then, like, whoa. I mean, I don't, yeah, I mean, okay, look. He asked me about, you know, he's saying, you know, I'm not going to go down there and waste your time. You know, I'm going to make sure you get something out of it. And so he's like, the weird thing was he said he posted a video just so I could put a face to the name, so I could see who I'm talking to. And he kept saying, you know, like, I think I've hung out with you before, but I don't recognize him. I haven't been in that area in like over a decade and a half, you know, and I don't know, man. It's just not likely. But it's one of those things that people want to like try to get some kind of sense of familiarity with you. That they'll say, hey, don't I know you from somewhere, you know? But then he's throwing me money. He had just found out that I had walked out of that job, so he threw me $20, and the next day threw me $20. And I'm like, dude, I barely even know this guy. This is odd. He wants to show his face. That's unusual. And then when he's asking what I'm into doing, what I'm looking to do with the boat and everything, I tell him, and he's like, oh, well, I'll get a trailer, I'll get this and that, I'll get a generator. And I'm like, whoa, dude, you don't need to do all that. You know, it was like he was volunteering all this, okay? He's like, no, make me a list. I'm not going to waste your time, you know? Make me a list. So I start making a list of, okay, I don't know how rich this guy is. I'm just making a list of all this stuff. I'm like, that I could use. Like, there's no end to the list of stuff. I could just list out thousands in material and tools and stuff I could use to better my life. You know, how far do we want to go with this? You know? But, you know, yeah. That was just the weirdest troll, though. I don't think he was trolling. I think he literally was trying to freaking hook up and got butt hurt because, I mean, I'm serious. Because the weird thing was, you know, like, the only thing he mentioned at first was like, hey, I'm retired, I'm not rich. And I'm like, no, I'm not expecting anything. I'm just giving you a list of, I don't know how much you could bring to the table, you know, I didn't even say to the table, I said to the project, you know. And you know, I'm not asking for him to help me fix my boat. I was just saying, you know, if you want to cruise with me, you got to get into a boat that does the same thing in the same class. We could convert that boat, you know. And I'm trying to tell him, you know, we could easily convert this canoe I got access to another canoe, you know, like, so he don't have to buy a canoe in order to do this kind of cruise. All right. When I see this video of him, he's got a pretty nice truck. I'm like, he don't even look like would want to do this kind of camping. Like, why? He's got a nice rig. And he's like, oh, I just want to have fun. And, okay. Not to I'm not trying to second guess a gift horse or look a gift horse in the mouth, but, I was just like, oh, anyway, man, there was no argument. There was no weird freaking accusations or anything. But I was just like off the cuff. I thought about it, and I'm like, hey, I don't know if you're gay or not, but if that's the idea, if you're like trying to hook up with me, that's not happening. I don't swing that way. I don't want to be. I know because it hadn't occurred to me to mention that before. This dude might be thinking he's gonna get lucky, and that's when he did a complete 180. Was like the next morning I woke up at 5 o'clock in the morning. It was like he had already he had been up at like 3 a.m. messaging me about how upset he was. But he wouldn't admit to that it being that, He's like, oh man, I don't like how you called me out right on live feed. I'm like, well, that's what I do. I chat live. I don't know you any other kind of way. And I didn't call you out. I didn't throw him in that boat. I just said, hey, if this is the case, I'm not interested. So you don't waste your time and money. I'm trying to be, yeah, dude, that was okay. Whatever, he gave me $40. That's cool. But it's like I don't feel obligated to him for anything. Yeah, I'm just not used to guys trying to get in my pants. But yeah, it's been a while. It's not unheard of. But I don't know why people get the impression. Why do people assume? Like, why don't they clarify before throwing a bunch of money at a thing and driving all the way across the state? Why don't they just be honest about what they're about? Like, bro, I didn't call you out. I just put out a boundary, and you ran face first into it and then jumped in that boat and started waving your arms around and freaking crying about it. Like, you're calling yourself out, dude. He spends the next few hours typing a bunch of messages after that, trying to like flip it around on me and be like, oh, you were just demanding all this shit, and all of a sudden you want me to rebuild your whole world. And no. No, not that guy, Dorcas. I'm talking about a totally different dude. Oh, this was the Navy dude that was going to come down here from Tampa and sail with me in another boat up from here to Tampa. Yeah, that was a weird thing. He kept asking, like, he wanted to get me to come out to the Navy base to do the work. And he's like, man, I can camp out on the Navy base all I want if you can get on the base. And I'm thinking, dude, how in the world would I get on the base? I'm not enlisted. The only people that can get on the base are people that are enlisted, or they got a base pass because they got a job to do there, or they're family of the person that lives there. Like, what is he trying? It just kind of caught me, like, what is he trying to, like, claim that I'm his freaking significant other to get me on the base? I don't know, man. I don't don't know. I wish people just be honest about who they are and what they want. Like, maybe they would if there was less judgment in the world. You know, I don't mind. Brakes are simple, dude. Brakes are pretty simple, straightforward. It's just electric over hydraulic. Well, actually, it's not even electric over hydraulic. It's just mostly hydraulic over hydraulic. Man. I don't know. Maybe I give off. Whoa. Maybe, you know, when I sit here and talk shit about the women I've been with, and or like, you know, women are this and that and do this and that, you know, maybe he gets the impression that I'm into dudes, because no, I wouldn't be so upset about what women do if I wasn't into women. It's actually the fact that I've tried to be with women, like, because I like what they got in the pants. You know, like, I wouldn't put up with all their insanity if it wasn't for what's in their pants. But I ain't switching teams just because it didn't work out. But, you know, what you gonna do? So I heard about them Navy guys, but I didn't think it was really like that prevalent. Ooh, man, it is whipping me around. I've never seen this much wind back here. But kind of what I expected to see this time of year. I just hope my tarps hold out. Really need to get better fitted tarps. I need to measure this boat out exactly what size tarps and get the right heavy duty ones and put all the ties on them, because it's just going to be this way till October. No, I don't need to collect water right now. I gotta finish the roof before I can put rain catchment on it. That is in the works. I got 2 rain barrels. That's what that white barrel is in the canoe for. It's got a spout built into it. Oh, I could turn the fan off. It's getting chilly. That just took the heat right off of me. And now I gotta drop curtains because it's spraying. Well, it's been a while since it got this rough. It's time for me to get some snaps and screw them onto the hull and snap these dang canvases down. Get them snapped down and rainproofed. I should have done that a long time ago. Why you say that? It's supposed to calm down soon. Beach Bum, welcome back. Boo Boo, welcome here. I don't remember seeing you before. Are you new here, or did I just not remember? Woo! Thunder. Hey, boo boo. What do you say we all go get a picnic basket? Oh man, I'm getting splattered. That sucks. I gotta keep the curtains and the tarps down. And it looks like I'm gonna have to buy some new tarps soon. Alright. I'll get dressed and flip the camera around. At least you can see my ugly mug. Okay, what are we talking about today? I can't really talk, it's too loud to talk. Hiya. Tarps and stove fuel. I need to get soon. I'm running pretty low on the stove fuel, and these tarps have been beat up for a bit. They're about overdue to be changed. Man, you can even see the flashes of lightning through the tarps. That's wild. Well, that's what I got, canvas curtains, and that's what I'm saying. They're just cut and they need to be snapped. I need to install snaps so that I can snap them down or zip them, whatever, and then I need to put rubberized coating on them. I like to make canvas sails. I mean, I got actual sails, but you know, I'd like to make some canvas sails, like old world style. Be cool to make some pretty decent, like, or you know, it'd be cool to have two sets, a set of storm sails and a set of light, like silk. Big Genoa and a silk set. Show you guys the mess I got going here. My boat is a mess. You can see the front open there, lets a little breeze in, and I got my fuel. That's a pile of canvas tarps, and these are canvas curtains, but you know, I just hung them up and cut them to fit, but I haven't put snaps on them or anything. And I haven't rubberized the outside, so they're not exactly rainproof, but it won't take much to rainproof them. I got a little spray bottle. I need to get, what I'll do is I'll get a gallon of acetone and a bunch of silicone and just mix it up and spray it on when I'm about to leave for the day. Let it dry out before I gotta sit in it. I'm in South Florida, and it's a homemade trimaran. I guess you might call it a wa'apa, like a Hawaiian style. It's not really Hawaiian style. It's just a canoe with two outriggers, but a little taller than your average canoe. What time we got? 4:30. I'd say by 5 or 6 the wind should be calmed down. It should be calm by about 5, at least 5:15, maybe sooner. And then the thunder should be past me more to the north. It's kind of sitting right on top of me right now. I get rolled in, and it was forming right above me, so that's why you're like it all cut down and bust loose right above me, so I get the brunt of it where the cold and the warm front meet each other. Yeah, it seems like the wind's already calming down. I might be able to show the outside world. I gotta wait till it slows down just a little bit. Plus, I want to open it up and get this cool breeze in here too. I just don't want the gusts of wind. Might be a little too soon. Yeah, when I get all the construction done, especially if I ever get the fiberglass to get rid of the wood, like if I can get the hard top built and get all the wood replaced with glass, man, this boat will be a lot lighter and I could get rid of a lot of the scraps. But either way, whenever I get rid of all the constructing scraps and get the water catchment put in, all that shit, I'm just gonna get rid of a bunch of unnecessary shit. Give the boat a good cleaning down and paint the whole thing. Then scrape the bottom. I was really excited about the idea of someone showing up with a trailer. I could haul this out. I got a spot and the tools to do the work, but I would really love a trailer, a 16-foot trailer that could haul it out and the truck to haul it. But yeah, I don't need to get I don't know, man. That's an endeavor. It's what it is. I know people around here with trucks, but nobody has a 16-foot trailer. I know. I might just have to make make a trailer for it. I know that sounds crazy, but that's the kind of thing I do. Like, I got a custom-made boat. It's not going to be easy to find it. It's either buy a straight flat lawn trailer and modify it, or build a trailer. The other option is to get a 3,000 watt generator portable out here and build a dry dock and dry dock it. Yeah. Yeah, you can pretty much go to Harbor Freight and buy most of the stuff you need, like the axles and wheels and mounts and U-bolts and even the trailer tongue and hitches and all that shit. Between Harbor Freight and Home Depot, or maybe, you know, I could get everything I need to build a trailer. This thing doesn't really need much of a trailer. It just needs a couple axles that latch onto the boat itself and a tongue in the front. I mean, there's all kinds of ways to do. I could just wait till winter and do the improvements, you know. It's harder to do fiberglass in the winter, but yeah, I don't know. There's less rain. I can just beach this boat. I take it up at high tide to a beach, but then I still have to tape off the entire boat and plastic it in to keep it from getting any dust on the ground or in the woods. I have to collect all that into a shop vac, bag everything up. I mean, you know, that's one of those projects I never really expect anybody to pop in and just make happen for me. It's something I figure at some point along the way I'll run into a good freaking lick and be able to make it happen myself, you know? Because that's how life goes for me. I might go long periods of time with just scraping by, and then all of a sudden I get this really good job and making a lot of money for a few months, and then it's done. And I have to, you know, okay, now it's like live off that money. How much do I spend on home improvement? Because I don't know when I'm going to start making some again, you know, and it goes like that. But you know what? There is a sense of security in the way I live, and that, like, there's nobody saying, give me this much money by this date or you're out of here. You know, like, I got a place to live. And that gives me the freedom if somebody's mistreating me to be able to walk away. You know, or if somebody's asking me to do something illegal on the job, I can tell my boss no. You know, and just no. I just flat out, I'm not going to do it. You know? I shouldn't say boss, because I don't really do the boss thing, but you get my meaning. You know, the customer can't convince me to do stuff out of my morals or things I wouldn't otherwise do. Because if it comes down to it, I'll go out here, I'll get some tap water and catch a fish, and I'll be fed and have a place to sleep. And I'll, you know, when you have your rent and your water and your electric and your trash and your sewer and your car payment and your insurance payments and your cable and all and your truck payment, your trailer, yeah, you can't just walk away from a job, and you end up putting up with a lot of shit you wouldn't otherwise put up with a lot of times. Let's see if we can risk a peek outside. Yeah, it'd be hard for me to even think about where would I buy land. Even if I had the money to buy land, where would I buy land? Because, man, I just can't stand most of the laws about land these days. It's bugs the shit out of me that you spend all that money on it and you don't get to own it because the government's telling you everything you can and can't do on it. And you can't really do much with it but become dependent on the system some more. I don't know. I just feel like we're getting pretty too dystopian in this country. But yeah, when America is dystopian, where do you go? Because if America is not free, then nobody's going to be free. It's either take the red pill and plug back into the Matrix, or go hide in the jungle and till the Matrix comes there too. Yeah, I guess it's as good a place as any. You know what I've been thinking about though? There's a lot of territories that are owned by the United States or controlled by the United States and use U.S. currency, but they're not in the United States. You know, and they're just a lot more relaxed, more remote, less control. And you kind of just like out there, you want to build a water wheel, you can. You know, and you're allowed to have a rain catchment barrel, you know, or solar panels if you want. Who are you asking, Grace? Yeah, that's what I'm saying, man. I've been looking at like there's American Samoa and there's like the American Bahamas, you know, the Philippines, parts of the Philippines that are controlled by America. You know, I'm thinking there's some, but you know, I mean, I don't want to live too remote. I don't want to go somewhere where there's not a decent hospital, you know. But I would like, if I was going to buy land, I would like it to be somewhere where I'm allowed to do it and will with it, you know, to build it with the materials that are out there. And, you know, you don't have to buy a permit just to have a yard sale. Oh, I wouldn't mind swampland. I like swamps. You just, there's a different, I mean, you have to adapt. It's different. You got to adapt to it. But swamps are full of resources. Oh. The smell, yeah, well, that depends on what kind of industry you're around. This swamp don't, actually it does when the tide gets really low, this swamp does get stinky. But when the water's up, which it usually is, it's no biggie. You don't smell any, I don't smell any swamp smell out here when the water's up. It's just at the lowest low tide of the month. There will be a few hours where it's stinky. But I love that, one thing I love about the swamp is that you gotta go, like you pretty much gotta have a little flats boat or weedless or, you know, airboat or something, like it's just remote. You know, you don't get a bunch of people stepping up to your door wanting to tell you about Jesus. Bunch of leaves floating in. Yeah, you guys, some of you have been watching, you've seen how many different wild edibles I've pointed out in this area. I've shown you fruit growing off trees that you can pick and eat. That's just wild. Like nobody's cultivated it. And there's wild hogs in this area. There's game around. There's all these alligators and fish. Obviously no shortage of water. You know, it's salty, but between rain catchment and desalinization, salt water is not a problem. You know, that's another thing I was excited about. I want to get somebody out here with me, working with me, filming and shit. Just because I like to show how I take these 2 containers and a little thing, like a couple lightweight things that I just have around, and turn it into an emergency salt desalinator, or turn it into a distiller to make fuel for the stove. Like say you're on an island and you need to get somewhere that's a distance you can't carry a bunch of firewood, you need to be able to cook along the way, that you're not going to be able to go to shore, you can make a bunch of stove fuel before you go. You know, I want to show people how to do stuff like that, because it just feels like there's coming quickly a time where all these people have been dependent on the system to provide electricity and water and everything, and it looks like our system is failing people left and right, and they don't know how to just go make water clean. That's the number one thing. Is in any survival situation, the number one thing is water. Like, obviously there's other things, like if it's stormy and weather, cold weather, then you gotta worry about shelter before you worry about water. You know, hypothermia is a thing. But if it's nice weather, and you know it's been nice and temperate all this year, like the time of year you're on some island in the tropics and the weather's perfect for the days on end, you know, you're like, yo, your first priority is getting some water. It's not even food. It's not even shelter. You know? A lot of people think, oh, I'm just gonna find some coconut trees and I'll be fine. Yeah, those are people that have never actually had to climb a coconut tree to get some coconuts. Once you've done it, you understand. And then once you've tried to live off coconuts for a few days, you also understand the massive diarrhea it gives you when you don't have anything else to drink. Right? It's not something you want to just, even if there are coconut trees, you don't want that to be your only source of hydration. It's really good for you, but you don't want to overdo it. Devin, do I think what's real? You watched a documentary on Sasquatch, but you did not see any actual video of a Sasquatch. You saw a bunch of blurry videos of a bear off in the distance, and you might have saw a hairy hippie running through the woods, and you might have saw a guy in a monkey suit, or you might have seen an actual ape in the woods on some footage. But where is the actual footage? You know, in this day and age, dude, they can read a newspaper from outer space. They can read the headline of a newspaper from outer space. We got some pretty badass cameras, and for some reason, all these thousands and thousands of people claiming they've seen it, and no one's got it on camera in any clear picture that shows anything definitive. It's like ghost hunters. You ever watch Ghost Hunters? That's the dumbest shit I've ever seen in my life. A TV show looking for the invisible, non-existent, imaginary Casper the ghost. Like, that is just the dumbest shit I've ever. And all these instruments that they can make flash to convince you that they're detecting something there. And it's just like, man, dude, this shit is. You're better off watching an episode of Scooby-Doo. It's more entertaining. Because at least in Scooby-Doo, they always understand that there are no ghosts. Now, I'm not going to say there are no Bigfoots, but because I've seen some pretty big, hairy dudes that walk all stooped over, and they're hairy, head to toe, just like. And look, I used to work with a guy, Eddie, that looked just like Harry from Harry and the Hendersons. Swear to God. And in fact, let me tell you a story. I was working at Disney. I did a lot of contracts between Disney and Islands of Adventure and Universal Studios. And you know, they have their, we're walking into work to the construction site, and they had all their characters walking out in uniform. You know, Fred Flintstone and Barney Rubble and all that shit. And freaking Harry from Harry and the Hendersons walks out. And they're not supposed to talk, right? You know, they're like miming shit. And this dude, he comes over in his costume, and he stops right in front of my buddy Eddie and looks at him, and then he points at himself and points at Eddie and points at himself like, dude, you look like me. And I'm just saying, man, like, we're primates. And you get a big hairy naked dude in the woods, he's a primate. Like, are you filming a Bigfoot, or are you just filming a really hairy, shy, naked hippie? Or are you filming an ape? Because what is a Bigfoot? Like, maybe there is an ape out there that no one's seen on camera, or like never can manage to get, like the smartest ape besides humans. I don't know. But I'll tell you one thing. I can say this with confidence. I've spent more time alone in the wilderness than anyone you've ever met. All over North America. I'm talking from the Willamette Valley to Mexico, from San Francisco through Death Valley to Florida. I've hiked from the Appalachians down to Florida. I've hiked from the Appalachians to Texas. I've done east to west on the north and through the middle and down the south, all the way coast to coast. Man, I've been in a lot of wilderness in every climate that North America has to offer, from mountains, snow caps, tundra, to freaking forests, to swamps, to plains and deserts. I've spent alone time in all of it. Just me and whatever out there and what I carried with me. No sat phone, no freaking film crew, no emergency freaking radio. Like, I was actually really roughing it with what I could scavenge and carry, or make, or trade, whatever. Like, I literally made my backpack, and half the gear I set out with was made or scavenged. And I set out across the country like that once, across the entire country like that. Man. And I've never seen one. I've seen all the creatures that I see on Nat Geo and stuff, like on North America, like Marty Stauffer's Wild America, all those animals that he always talks about. I've seen them. I've been right up face to face with all of them. And I've never seen a Bigfoot. You know, I've never seen any little green men either. I've never seen any green men beam down from a flying saucer and kidnap a cow or a person or any of that. And I'm telling you, I've been, you know, that mountain in Arizona, that big mountain at the, what do they call it, Devil's Peak or whatever, where they say nobody can go up it. Anybody who goes up it is cursed. Yeah, I've been on it. I lived. You might say I'm cursed, but I think I'm blessed. Man, I've climbed in some trees that you weren't allowed to touch. I've spent the night in trees you weren't supposed to touch, inside the tree. I heard the tree I used to drive through. There was a tree back in Northern California we used to drive through, or was it Oregon? I don't know, big ass redwood tree, and there was a road through it, and you could drive your car or van through it. And it was still alive, growing on either side of the road. Like, man, this is some big trees out there. Oh man, when a branch falls from the top of that tree, you gotta listen. If you're walking through the redwood or the sequoias, you have to listen for snapping branches. Because if any snapping sound above you, you better get the fuck out from under it really quick. Because you're gonna see these like 8-10 foot spears coming down that stick down 2 feet into the ground. And if they hit you, they'll impale you. So I've never been impaled, but I've seen some big ass branches spike the ground not far from me. And yeah, dude, I could imagine getting under that. Like, don't worry about a falling coconut, man. You got to see what a redwood will do to you. But I don't know, man. I just think that if there were some Bigfoots, if there was ever a human that a Bigfoot could feel comfortable approaching, it should have been me. Like, why hasn't one? Like, when I'm out there sleeping with bears and snakes, and like, I'm literally befriending wild bears and wild snakes and freaking doing fine. Like, wouldn't the Bigfoot see that and be like, dude, this guy's cool, I can talk to him? Maybe come over for a handout or free meal or something. I don't know. Like, none of them ever attacked me, never thought I was encroaching on their territory. Like, you're kidding. Of all the creatures I've stumbled on and been warned off by, and freaking, man, you telling me that they're there? All these people seeing them, but I've never seen one. And none of those people have spent the amount of time I've spent alone in the woods in all of North America. So it's really hard for me to swallow that pill. But it's just not my nature to claim it. It's hard for me to like prove the non-existence of the non-existent. It's like proving God doesn't exist. You can't. So I'm not going to call all these people liars. I'm just going to say I doubt it. So that's my take on it. That's my personal experience, and all over North America and all the wildernesses in North America, of all of it, I've never seen one. Never seen a Bigfoot. I've seen some lost people out in the woods and in the canyon and like different various places. Haunted lake up north. I don't know what lake you're talking about. But you know what? Here's the thing, Devin Smith. When a local legend says there's a haunt in there, and if you don't go out there, like, I'm pretty sure that there's no ghost out there that's gonna kill you. But there may be something that the people can't understand that they've explained with ghosts that could take your life. So when people warn you of a place is haunted and say don't go there, you probably shouldn't just go there haphazardly. If a lot of people are dying in it, I would question the whole idea of it being haunted and question, well, what the fuck is in the lake? or what's under it. Maybe there are gas bubbles that are being released from the lake that just kill you. There are a lot of lakes around America and all over the world that have gas pockets and minerals at the bottom that are trapped for thousands and thousands of years. And every once in a while, a little shift in the crust or something, a change in some chemistry, or and a bubble comes up, and it just happens to be where you are. And you breathe it in, and it knocks you out, and you drown. Or, there have been times where a lake burped, and everybody in the village around it died. They just fell asleep and didn't wake up. And no one knew why for a long time. It was like not till some geologist comes around, starts taking samples and like drilling into the bottom of the lake and analyzing the shit at the bottom. You just don't know. Yeah, methane is a pretty common thing bubbling up from lakes, or especially in volcanic areas. Earth is a lot more active than you realize, man. Like, we live on the earth moves. And it has all kinds of deadly chemicals in it. Like that dude, I saw a video on TikTok the other day. This fucking tourist put his hand down in the geyser water and put it to his lips. Like he was it's steaming geyser water. And people are flipping out saying, oh my God, he's going to get an infection and bacteria. And I'm like, no, he's not. No, you ain't got to worry about the bacterial infection. There is no bacteria in there, because bacteria can't, well, yeah, there is. There's bacteria in there that can survive extreme conditions. But dude, you're putting like sulfuric acid in your mouth. And like God knows what. Like, you just took a chemistry experiment and put it to your lips, dude. Like, yeah. It's like, dude, man, bacteria is the least of your worries. If you might as well drink some battery acid and see how it hits your stomach. Yeah, well, I'm betting there's some other reason. Oh, yeah, the pet the bison people. God, they're stupid. Cows are domesticated. And I don't even go on someone's farm and try to pet their cows if they don't know me. Like, if you're going to go to a farm, the animals, just because you're a human don't mean they like you. Like, they know they're human, but they don't know you. You're a stranger coming into their barn. They start freaking out and kicking and like, no. You go into the feed area and you get a scoop of feed and then walk into the barn, and then the cows love you. But even then, you don't walk up to a wild cow thinking it's going to be all lovey, even if you got a handful of grain. That wild cow doesn't understand the concept of sharing grain. He doesn't think you're coming for the grain to share and get a pet. They don't understand the concept of rubbing on a foreign species for some love. Okay? The only thing he thinks is you're going to eat him or he's going to kill you. Why are you still coming closer? Like, why are you still coming closer? You're making me nervous. And then when you see him stamp his foot, that's him saying, I won't back down. Like, you're making me nervous, but I'm not going to run away. Like, they don't know how fast you can run. And they think if they run away, they won't get away. They don't want to turn their back. They want to keep their horns to the front. And so you don't understand what you're doing when you're walking up to a cow is you're terrifying it and making it go into fight mode to defend itself. Because you don't freaking know you. That's how tourists get bit by dolphins too. They think they're going out there to meet Flipper, and they lose a finger because that dolphin out there that they saw following their boat doesn't know them. Yeah, well, there may be a lake creature in the water too. There's no telling what's in the water that might kill you. But I'm pretty sure it's not a ghost. I'm not going to say there's no such thing as ghosts, but a ghost is a non-physical entity. And we are physical entities. You know, I don't believe in poltergeists. Yeah, there's that too, Dorcas. There's that too, but that's dolphins generally not going to get that attitude unless they're really friendly. But hey, you keep feeding them and loving on them, they might think you want some love, and you never know. They've been known to. Yes, dolphins have been known to try to boink a person. Oh, it looks like it's chill enough to open the tarps. Ooh, that was a pretty rough one today. We've had a storm come through every day for a while, but that was the worst one that I could never blew like that before. At least not since I've been in this area. Yeah, I can't say that was any different than last year though. I mean, we got some pretty good ones last year. I went into a little narrow creek over in Pendarvis Cove. I got in such a skinny spot there that I couldn't even get internet. I couldn't stream or nothing. I had to sit there and play freaking... There was nothing to do until the storm was over. I could sit there and just play like offline games, you know? There's only so much dungeon crawling I can do before that gets boring. You guys ever play any of those offline games like Pixel Dungeon? Tell me none of you have ever played Pixel Dungeon? Anybody? What's up, Josh? What about you, Josh? You ever played Pixel Dungeon? Freaking... And y'all don't know the old school ways. Man, Pixel Dungeon's one of them old school games. That's like the original dungeon crawler. It's on Play Store. And don't let it fool you. It looks like a simple game, but I'm telling you it's not. Like, if you've never played it, I promise you you're gonna die like really quick. It's tricky, but it's a turn-based game, so like every move you make is taking up a turn. So you got to be conscious of that. Like, you're walking around through that dungeon, as soon as something appears, you don't want to move at all until you've analyzed everything you've got available, and you really got to think about what character you're going to pick and how you develop it. It's sort of like Dungeons and Dragons. You got to develop your character. You can be a warrior or an archer or a mage or a thief. You know, and you got to develop the character accordingly and choose weapons accordingly and armor, you know. It's really challenging, but it's really basic. There's no real graphics. It's just like you're looking at a map and you're looking at a character sheet. It's not like a graphic really kind of thing. It's more like just character developing. But it's sort of like Minesweeper. That shit's a lot harder than it looks. But yeah, when the internet goes down, that's what you do. You play an offline game that keeps you busy for a minute. Like, what else are you gonna do in a storm? I ain't sailing in it. I think I can turn the air chiller off. I don't need to eat up that battery. Hold on. There we go. You know, Josh, I was just thinking about that. Let's see what I got here for dinner. Let me see. Some tea. Pork chops. Gonna have some pork chops tonight. And it's as good a time as any to throw those on. Some breaded, I probably bread them, yeah. Gotta clean the dishes first. Scrubby. Glad I filled up my water. What are you talking about? What billion-dollar company? YouTube? Yeah, it's been that way since I started streaming YouTube. It's always been that way. There'll be 15 people in here chatting, and it'll say nobody's in here sometimes. And it's like, damn, I know they're not bots because we're doing this back and forth of, like, you know, chat bots don't send you money. Maybe they do. Are chatbots really getting that sophisticated now where they'll cash at me some cash? Dang. Like right now, everybody in here type. It says there's 0 people. Okay, maybe they're telling the truth now. Damn. Okay, well. Yeah, I think I'm getting fuckicated by the algorithm. But you know how that is. What are you gonna do? It's a good thing I'm not really all concerned with becoming viral. Alright, well. I guess if nobody can post a chat, then not much point in staying, is there? Yeah, I don't know if they're messing up lately or if they're just messed up always, because it seems to me like they just stay messed up. But what are you gonna do? That's what it is. Wow, okay. Yep, that's how they make sure the people saying the unpopular things don't get spread all over. Somebody, you know, keeps trying to, like somebody the other day was trying to freaking tell me they're like trolling, coming in here threatening me and shit and saying they're coming out to sink my boat and all this stupid shit. And then they try to turn it around and it's like, dude, I told him, hey, you tell me what waterway I'm in and I'll leave. So he got on the map, and about maybe half hour, 45 minutes later, after freaking talking some more shit, he finally was like, took a guess at Black Creek or something over, and I'm like, dude, that's on the other side of the state. You know. Oh no, I heard goat raiders were getting in trouble for that shit. Yep, you got it, Fort Pierce. How'd you figure it out? Shadow Life? watching my videos. It's top secret, huh? You did some investigating. Pulled some strings, paid off some officials, and got my location, did you? Alrighty, here we go. Dip these puppies in some egg. And then I'm gonna batter fry them all. Why they gotta glue the diaper to the tray? I hate that. Trying to use the tray to dip batter. Let me see, how am I gonna do this? I guess I'm just gonna freaking spread it on these things. Hello, Thad, Daniel. I'm not ignoring you guys. I'm over here breading some pork chops for the griddle. So just bear with me for a minute. I get this going, and I can relax a little bit while it gets frying. I don't carry a bunch of cookware with me, so I gotta kind of improvise, and I don't have the full kitchen here. I get a skillet and a pot and a little tray the meat came with. Go. One more of those over here. Okay. Chops are breaded. Almost. There we go. Oh. No, I've just been buying my meat fresh every day. I just got it on my way home from work. go by the market on the way home every day. Or, I mean, I do have a really good cooler if I want to buy ice to go. I usually buy ice when I'm setting out on a long trip, because I know it's nice to have some cold drinks on at least the first day or two, to have some cold stuff. And then, you know, it's kind of like a couple days of no cold stuff, and then you get to a town and then you got some cold drinks again and fresh food. You know, just kind of use canned and boxed foods on the way, and you make up for it when you're in town somewhere where you can get fresh groceries. You want to try to go ahead and take advantage of that every time you can, because you never know when you might be a while where all you're eating is boxed mac and cheese and chili mac and stuff. And it's like, you know, as good as that is, it gets old after a while. And there's only so much you can do as far as just open, heat, and eat with no refrigeration. So, you know, I do a lot of canned fruit and stuff like that. But when I'm in town like I am now, I try to make up for it. Eat good. I eat bacon a lot because I can go buy it fresh. And especially if I'm in the grocery store and I'm looking through the meat and there's something I like that's frozen, I'm definitely grabbing that. You know, they just put it on the shelf and it's still frozen. You know that's what you want to grab right off, because it's going to be sitting there. You know, you can take that home. You don't have to cook it right away. You got to wait a couple hours to cook it anyway, so sit it out to thaw. Yeah, you're I'm okay, Josh. I got my plans as far as refrigeration on here. I just built a 12-volt chiller, but I don't have enough power to run it yet. Like it's right now, refrigeration is not on the menu because I have to get more power, and I got plans for all that. And why would I take the whole trailer and put it on a boat? That doesn't make any sense. When you could take the refrigerator out of the trailer and put it in your boat. Now that might make sense. No, but you got to go back to day one and watch all my videos to see what I'm really doing. Like, I got reason for being on this vessel the way it is. I don't want a different, like, I don't need plans, man. You want to throw some money at my plans? Cool, but I got my plans. And I'm doing them. I'm going to do a lot more with this boat. Yeah, no. Yeah, I've been living on boats for decades, and I've built several boats, and I decided that I wanted to build this one because it's been something I've been like, there's a lot of ideas I want to try out that need a boat this shape and design in order to try. And so it's kind of like this is the platform for a bunch of experimentation I'm going to be doing. I mean, not really. Yeah, it is experimentation because I know different I know different technologies that I want to use on here, but I don't know if this one is better or that one's better. Like which one is going to be more efficient and get the most out of the area I have. I got to kind of tool around with that. Yeah, the first video I made a steam engine out of a 2-stroke motor. And I was building a steam generator, a solar steam generator to power that engine. And I lost everything because of the lockdowns from COVID. You know, like I'd just gone stretched too thin. Could never get it finished. So had to sell my freaking boat that I was on. And that's when I got that canoe and was like, you know what? I'm not going back to land and doing the regular thing. I'm going to take this canoe and rig it for sailing and cruise it. Not from here, Josh. I've had alligator, but not here. I mean, there's only certain times a year and you got to have special permits to hunt alligator. It's pretty controlled. And there's definitely alligators out here. Oh, let me season this stuff. A little potassium chloride, some sodium chloride, some garlic, some lemon pepper. Yeah, well, that's the thing. I don't have to start over with the boat. It's more a matter of, here, like I'm going to build the drive system. I know the drive system will work. I just don't know if I want to power it with this type of motor or that type of motor. I'm not sure because there's a couple of different ways I want to do it. And the same with the electricity generation. I want to build my own generators, but I'm not sure do I want to power it with this kind of turbine or that kind of cyclic engine. You know, there's a couple of ideas I have that I know either one will work, but which one's going to be better? I want to try them both. The goal ultimately is to get this boat, or really any boat that I built, 15 foot, under 16 feet long, under 8 feet wide, under 5 feet, under 6 feet tall, to be able to carry 2 people around the Great Loop in less than a year. That's the goal. And to sustain, handle rough, it's got to handle rough. It's going to have to handle rougher water than this one can handle, though. I mean, like, this one needs work before I can go in open water with it. And to do the Great Loop, you got to go into a lot more open water and rough waters. So I got a lot of modification to do on this one before it's at that point. It might take me the rest of my life to come up with the freaking materials and shit to do it. But that's the ultimate goal. And in the meantime, I'm having fun sailing and cruising it, just looking for the right situations to do some cool shit. And man, these pork chops smell good. I may end up with twin jet drives on these outriggers, take the twin rudders off and put a single rudder on the back, and then power them with twin lawnmower engines. That'd be cool because, you know, I'd still be running gas engines, and that's fine, but I'd be able to get a lot more speed and power out of, and I'd be able to replace a motor for under $200. A lot cheaper to, like, it's easy to find a lawnmower. You know, even a used old lawnmower, you could just pop the old one off and put a new one on if you blew one up. They're air cooled, so you don't have to worry about you know, is the water pump working or any of that. You know, you might want to actually add some cooling to the system, some water cooling to it, just because of the fact that there's sometimes you're out there in a lot of sun on the hottest days when air cooling is really just not quite enough. Lawnmower engine might be overheating on those days. But yeah, just different thoughts. I mean, get the drive system in, and then it's just a matter of getting the right engine on it, the right gear ratio. Right now I'm running a 6-horse, just a regular out. This is like a Chinese knockoff of a 6-horse Mercury. And I mean, it's fine for what I'm doing. It gets me around. It hauls all my shit, but it's definitely not doing the great loop in a year with that motor. You know, it's just something that gets me around, and you know, it's dependable. It's easy to work on, and it's simple. It uses very little fuel, but it's super economical. Oh man, I peeled all the breading off that side. Hate it when that happens. Now you hungry? Just ignore the big mess in the back. Bay liner. Yeah. Everybody gets rid of their bay liner. I don't know, the old bay liners were kind of junk. The new bay liners are pretty good, actually. I don't knock them. Here, I need both hands for this. Bay liners are doing pretty good with the new designs. They used to have all those IOs that were junk and they kept sinking. But I mean, it's not too bad if you... I'll tell you what, the best boat bay liner ever made was a sailboat. I'll bet you didn't know Bayliner made sailboats, did you? They only did it for like 4 or 5 years, something like that. Not long, but they did make sailboats for a while. And they were like cheap, but pretty well made for something you could just get on and sail, and you didn't have to be really good at it. It's easy to sail that boat. Not real super solid, but not too flimsy. It's just like the Winnebago of RVs for, you know, of boats, where you could get a little cheap boat that you and your family could sail to the Bahamas in. Spend a weekend in it, no problem. Well, not you and your family. Well, yeah, the smallest one would sleep 2 in the bow, and then the next size up could sleep 3. And then like there's the 35, and that sleeps at least 4 or 5 people. And they got a pretty shallow keel too. A shoal keel. Just don't ever touch a boat that has an inboard outboard combo, like with the motor inside and the flex, you know, the rotating lower unit on the back under the waterline. Don't buy those. They sink really fast. It's like a ticking time bomb. Oh, smallest boat I've taken in the open ocean was 12 feet. And I spent 36 hours towing a sailboat in the storm out in the open in a 12-foot dinghy. And it handled it. That was another one. It wasn't homemade, but it was modified. It might as well have been homemade. I pretty much used the original hull as a form. I modified it enough for where 2 people could take it out in the open. If it filled with water and a little motor on the back, it wouldn't sink. Nope, I haven't seen any gators coming around since I started cooking. Last time I made bacon, I had a couple gators pass by. I think they have a harder time smelling it in the rain. Yeah, looks like I'm good from the storm for tonight. Should be the worst of it. No, you missed it, Josh. The rain, this is nothing. It was storming pretty hard earlier. I had to drop all the tarps and curtains down just to keep dry. This is after the storm passed. Should have seen it. I was getting blown all over the place a minute ago. Right, well, maybe an hour ago. Oh, I forgot I got lemon here. Pork chops are awesome. Little hint of coconut from the oil I'm cooking them in. You see the water barrel I brought home from work today? That's going to be part of my rain catchment system and ballast. See if I can go out in it for a minute. Put away some things so I can get in and out of here. Oh yeah, it's raining pretty good. Dang it, I left my coffee cup in the canoe. And it's full of water. My solar panels. Not getting much sun right now, are they? All swamps. Surrounded by swamp. Oh, doing it my lamp. Get back in here without pulling the tarps off. Oh, my butt's getting wet. Oh, oh crap. Now everything's wet. My phone stand's wet. I gotta change it over. See if I can get you guys back in the picture and put my phone out. And put it down. But figured you guys appreciate a little. Oh yeah, there's all kinds of good fish in here. But it's against my morals to fish right here where I'm anchored, because fish here where I'm anchored have become too trusting of me. They get my table scraps. I don't, it's like I'm not intentionally feeding them, but when I clean my dishes, they're there, and it just wouldn't be very sporting of me to go after the ones that associate me with a food source, it's just not fair. Now I'm going to do a catch and cook again soon, but I'll go around the corner, or I'll go after the fish that come through and pass by that don't know me. But I'm not going to fish for the fish here that are like coming up and like they think we're friends. Oh, there goes a piece of and kitchen scrap. Don't want to leave that in the kitchen. Draw a bunch of bugs. It needs a little more oil. Anything's better than your regular basic troll icon, you know? The purple dot, red dot. I'm still in South Florida. I suppose I could dig up and exhume and post a few old photos of me when I was younger. I don't think I would want to use it on my icon though. People click on it and they think I'm this young strapping dude. I don't know, it might be fun to get hit on by young girls again. But kind of disappointing. And you gotta tell them, no, I'm 53 now. All gray. Missing a bunch of teeth. Barely walk. You know, I was telling some friends the other day about how I lost the big 40-foot yacht and, you know, had to downsize to a canoe and sell everything I own. And I was saying about how, you know, I built this one, put a motor on it and improved my life and a little better conditions. You know, and I don't know, later on this lady was like talking about me to other people, and she looks over to me and she says, "How long have you been in this situation, Scott?" And I just kind of got confused for a minute because, you know, like, I felt like I'm not really in a situation. I'm doing what I want to do. I just changed it up. Like, and I just, all I could think to say was, I put myself in this situation. Like, let's not get it twisted. I'm still doing what I want to do. Just doing it cheaper. Dude, you know, I lived in a big sailboat for years, and I sailed all around Florida. But it took me a lot of time of sitting somewhere making money and like doing so many upgrades and repairs all the time, and just constantly doing work. I did more work on the boat than I did sailing, and it just seemed like I rarely ever actually went sailing anywhere. Excuse me, I got the hiccups. But you know, and since I got this boat built and launched it, even in the canoe, like, I was sailing and sailing and sailing. Like, every day was planning the next sailing journey. I've done more sailing in the last 4 years than I've done in the last decade before it. So, you know, I mean, it's just kind of like, I'm not crying about what happened to lose the boat. I mean, it sucked. I ain't gonna lie, man. Like, there was things I had gathered over the years that I was attached to. I had to give up a lot. But, like, man, my life is simpler now. I actually am enjoying my journey more now that I've given up all that responsibility. All that responsibility and accountability. Yeah, it was a big boat, but yeah, I had a big boat that it could sail across the Atlantic, and it sleeps 7 and beautiful teak interior, but it was non-stop work. And good luck trying to find somewhere to park that boat where it wasn't hitting the bottom, because it had a 7-foot draft. And most of the anchorages in Florida are 6 foot deep or shallower. There's like a lot of bridges that was too tall to sail under, and I'd have to go around out in the open, so I couldn't sail it down the intercoastal half the time. And it was just a pain in the ass. Okay, what am I gonna do? Well, also, I can't tell you how many times I was anchored up somewhere with a motor problem, and that's always when the sheriff wants to come over and harass you and start calling your boat a derelict boat because the motor's down, you know, or your registration's, oh, here's another one, 500 miles from home, and your registration's out of date. You know, you can still get it if you got people that'll do it for you. You know, you can get it and have them send it to you, and it's not, but it happens a little more delayed. Might be a while before you get that sticker on the side of the boat, and in the meantime you're getting harassed about not having that registration up to date, you know. So I thought of all that stuff in all my years of cruising, and I thought, you know what, I want a boat that doesn't need a motor, like something that I don't have to wait on a bridge tender open the bridge. I can just demast it real quick and re-rig it. And something that, if I can't register it for a little bit, it's no big deal. I'm legal. The boat's short enough to where I just pull the motor off and it's not required registration. And then I get the sticker, get it put on, and put the motor back on. Problem solved. But the point is, it's also a modular vessel, and it's lightweight enough to go on a trailer, go over land. It's easy to get out of stuck somewhere because it's so shallow. It's under a foot of draft. So there's just no chance of it ever being stuck or just left somewhere derelict, because I can always get it out of wherever it gets. If I gotta take it apart and carry it out in pieces, you know. Yeah, I'm pretty close to the Gulf. I'm not trying to give details about exactly where I am these days, because, you know, I got people freaking talking shit and trolling me and threatening me. And also, this is just one of those cool spots you don't want to show everybody, because show everybody where it is and all of a sudden it's not so cool anymore. People that are cool know how to find it. You just go and explore and they'll find it, or they'll find something similar. Yeah, it can be hard to tell who's a troll and who's just sincerely misguided. I don't know. I try to acknowledge people, but cool. Man, holy crap, them 6 pork chops went down quick. Oh, that was good. And I almost grabbed chicken. I saw those pork chops on sale and thought, nah, man. Because that'll fry up a lot quicker. Chicken take like freaking hour. Yeah, I think I went with the right choice. Okay, time check. Let me see. It is 6:15. Yeah, I better not drink any coffee. It's a little late for that. Wait a minute. No, it's not. This is Friday. I don't have to go to work tomorrow. What the fuck am I thinking? Let there be coffee. But first, let me have a clean cup. I had breakfast in there this morning. Yeah, Devin, that's really going to be the best time. You come down in the winter, the snakes are dormant, the mosquitoes are dormant, the gators are dormant, the weather is pretty dormant, and it's just way easier traveling time. The storms are infrequent and usually fairly light, not a bunch of wind. It's just best time to sail in Florida. The weather, man. I just think, man, it would be really cool to have this boat ready to sail and have the money to do a trip. Have it, it'd be cool to have it seaworthy where I can go out to 10,000 Islands. That would be a hell of a trip, man. Because that's a long expanse with nowhere to go to resupply for a long way. It's like, what, 600 miles of nothing but swamps and crocodiles and Everglades. But there are some cool little, there's islands and stuff, but man, better be able to carry enough gear to last. That'd be a challenge, you know. I've done some long trips that seem pretty challenging, but that's in this vessel, this size vessel. Yeah, right on. Yeah, I got 3 anchors on this vessel and at least 1 or 2 on the other canoe. So we put all of them down, it'll hold another 2 canoes easily. But if you're bringing, what, you're bringing a floating tent? Or are you talking about you just blow it up on land or what? What happens if the tent gets popped? It gets blown against the mangroves and a box of MREs, huh? I hope you're not talking about the military MREs. You talking about the FEMA MREs or the military MREs? Because you eat those military MREs the whole time you're here, you ain't gonna be able to shit for a month. Okay. Yeah, you might have to. Yeah, I don't know. You may have to figure out a way to keep a light on all night. Like if you got some rechargeable USB lights, you need like at least 3 of them so that, you know, one goes dim, you just turn another one on. And as long as you have them charged every night, every day before nightfall, because you need to have a light on when you're floating at anchor. And if you have an anchor for it, that would be good, because, you know, my boat can only hold so much wind. You know, give it enough wind and it'll drag anchor. That's kind of why I'm back in these, you know, protected areas. I may get some wind, but I'm not going far. I'm not going to damage anybody's property or other boats, or, you know, smash into a seawall. I'm going to just I'm just between these trees where it's not really hitting me like it is out there. I guarantee you that river out there got real rough earlier. Even with as rough as it was in here, you don't see a bunch of waves building up because there's land masses and trees between me and the main river. It just doesn't have time for the waves to build up. A power pack? Or like a jackery? Or are you talking about like a backup to charge your phone kind of power pack? Because the jackeries are great, but oh, you gotta have its own solar to charge it. But if it's something like USB-C, I can charge it on here. Yeah, honestly, if it's a short-term kind of thing, you're not doing a cruise. You don't have to really worry about a lot of shit that somebody trying to go out in the open and do a long trip with me is going to have everything just right. You know, you put a motor on your boat and you better have nav lights too, because that just adds another element of legal issues. Yeah, if it's just phone camera and some USB rechargeable lights, then we're good. And you just need something that's white that can be seen from a couple miles away, that's visible in 360-degree view. Oh shit. Dang it, I just dumped coffee in the freaking boiler. Chad, welcome here. I just flipped on the YouTube to catch a good storm, and it's pretty much past now. As I said, it's pretty much past, not totally past. Ooh, that's that kind of lightning that goes from cloud to cloud across the sky. I could hear it moving from one side of the sky to the other. And listen to that. I don't know if y'all hear it like I do, but it sounds like I'm near a bombing range. Yeah, 3 days in this swamp, you probably wouldn't even, you just need a flashlight. You wouldn't need to use your lights back in here because nobody can come speeding through here, and motorboats just, if a motorboat comes in here, they have to be going slow because the narrow entrance and the shallow water is so, they're props in the mud coming in here, and at low tide they can't get in here at all. So it's pretty much only canoes and kayaks kind of location, or very small skiffs. And to be getting through the mangroves to get in here, they have to kind of push some branches out of the way. And that's why when that dude was saying, oh, I've been speeding through there and you're in the way, I'm like, you don't even know where here is, because there's no way you're speeding through here. Like, the trees would decapitate you if you were speeding through here. Like, they'd be slapping you across the face and knocking you off your jet ski. Now, if I just went around the corner, that jet skier might run into me. But there's no way he's gonna say he's trying to freaking swamp my boat and speed through where I'm at. Like, and plus he said, what did he said? Black Creek or something. He probably heard me mention being at Black Point Marine one night, and he thought I was over in Biscayne Bay, or I would be talking. I talk about Biscayne Bay a lot because I did a lot of sailing around that bay and lived there for years. So these fuckers just guessing. Alright, where is my grill top so I can make some coffee? Suddenly, there it is. Well, I try to pick my spot even when I'm long cruising across distance. I still will be, I look at the range of my boat, look at my next supply spot, and I look at where am I going to anchor up tonight. And I'm looking on the map. I'm always looking for some little skinny area somewhere where I can go up for the night, get out of wind and rain, or any strong winds come up. And the other thing is, you want to position yourself where nobody's going to come fast around a corner and not see you and not have enough time to react to you being there. Like, if you can't get in a protected area where they can't go fast, then at least be where they can see you from a long distance. But don't be right around the corner, because people get killed that way. Even in a no-wake zone, don't trust people to obey the no-wake zones. Holy rolling thunder. Just when I thought it was over. I mean, weatherman said it was going to rain till off and on till about 7 here. Macy Ferguson, huh? I remember when it was just Ford Ferguson. Or just Ferguson. You ever seen the original Ferguson? We had one on the farm when I was a kid. The actual original, just a Ferguson tractor. That thing was a dinosaur, man. It wouldn't quit though. Freaking thing would go and go. We had a 1965 Chevy that wouldn't quit either, man. That thing was a dog. We beat the living shit out of that truck and it just would not die. That's right, it was. It was like candy red paint, or barn red paint rather. Now them old 65 Chevys, the 64, 65, 66, 67, all of those models, they just, man, they would just run and run and run. In fact, I restored one back in Oregon that is still to this day running. A 1965 on all original parts. Right, do the math. The thing's more than 50 freaking years. It's all, what? 65, how many years? Damn, it's near as old as its year. It's reaching its golden day of its birthday and still running. You won't find a car built in the 90s that runs for 40 years, 50 years. No way. None of these cars today are going to be running in 50 years. Bulldog gear. No, I think no, that Bulldog was something somebody took off a Mack truck and put on the gear shifter. That didn't come stock with the Ferguson. If you're talking about one of the shifter handle, or you're just talking about the freaking low gear. I know a few times I had that whole thing buried up to the frame in mud, and it's still just like walk right out of it. Just turn the front wheel and freaking walk out of it. Make a new ditch. It was like, damn, put a blade on the front and it's a tank, man. Oh, we called it the granny gear. The Chevy. It was just labeled as first gear on the 65, but you didn't really use it. I mean, unless you were hauling a load or you're on a hill or something, you had to use it. but just to bump the truck, just to barely get it rolling, and you need to jump back into second already, because it's, you know, from a dead stop trying to start going up a hill. Yeah, you had to, like, but half the time I just put it in second and double clutch it. If I was on a flat plane or anything downhill, I'm definitely double clutching first gear, forget about, or second gear. Yeah, ours was just, first gear was granny gear. Like I said, you wouldn't actually drive anywhere in that gear except really slowly up a hill. Or just to get rolling if you had a load. Yeah. Yeah, well, we'll see, Devin. In 04. Okay, let me see. It's 2026. Dude, that's 40 years. No. What it? Not even. It's goddamn 60 years. Yeah, it's 61. 61-year-old truck still running on the original parts. All right. So when your truck reaches 61 years old, if that Vortec engine is still running, you let me know. That old 65 Chevy didn't have no ass. Now it was a heavy steel truck, but the engine, like, it wasn't going anywhere fast. That engine took a while to get that truck going, but you couldn't kill it. You could just dog the shit out of it and it wouldn't burn up. It would just go and go. But I think it didn't really have enough power to blow it up. They have such a big wheel radius too that it really, I think that's why you really couldn't get it going in first gear or into second gear without double clutching it. You know, if you skip the granny gear, you had to sometimes double clutch it. Yeah, but really, the Vortec engine hasn't even existed for 50 years. So we can't really say that it's durable yet. Like, if it's running when it's 61, then we can say, yeah, it's just as good as that old slant six on the Chevy. Who was it that made the Warlock? Was that Dodge? Back in the 80s, there was a Chevy truck with like a flare side bed. Yeah, I don't know. That 65, that was back in the 80s when we restored it. And it had over 300,000 miles on it. Now it's pretty much exempt. There's no telling, because I think the freaking odometer's been Like the dashboard's been all fucked with. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Those inline straight six, 65 straight six. No, I'll tell you, there's some inline engines that blow up on you. Like, what was that? Oh, the freaking the 240Z was a straight inline engine. Well, no, that was a 4-cylinder. What was a 6-cylinder? Was it a Supra? The Toyota Celica? I want to say it was a Toyota. Maybe it was a Sirocco or something. It was a fucking little sports car that had a straight six, but it had dual overhead cams and an aluminum block. A much shorter stroke. Yeah, they weren't built to rip the pavement up or nothing. They were just built to haul a heavy load up the mountain and not die. Freaking, they were perfect for hauling hay. You could stick a 2x4, like the truck bed had those holes in the sides. You could stick 2x4s in and build a frame up way past the cab of the hood of the truck, and have stacks of hay bales going 15 feet high on that thing, and it would still haul it up a steep mountain. Oh man, we hauled logs. We'd haul logs down the mountain so damn full the springs would be, just almost rubbing the back tires, and it would take it. Let's see, I had a 73 Mustang, and I had an old Datsun 240. The 240Z, I don't know if you ever seen one or if you remember what they look like, but the 280Z, the Nissan 280Z, this was before that. It was pretty much the same thing, but it was just made by Datsun. And they didn't have fuel injection. They had a throttle body injection system with dual throttle bodies with linkage in between, like a motorcycle has on, a 4-cylinder. Yeah, I like the Datsun, the Nissans, but before Nissan bought Datsun, Datsun was the one that actually created the first Z, and it was a 240. And then Nissan bought them and made the 280. And then shit, now they make the ZX, the 300 ZX. That's a pretty sick car, man. Yeah, there was also a B210. Datsun was a little boxy car called a B210. Yeah, I flipped one of those upside down on the freeway one day. That was a crazy one. Yeah, that was like a little clown car, man. The B10 or 210, the B210. Yeah, well, it's all Nissan now, but it's Nissan bottom. Are you talking about the B210? No, that was Datsun. The original B210. Maybe Nissan made another one after they bought them, but that was originally a Datsun. You can't forget that car after flipping it upside down and being flung up the highway at freaking 70 miles an hour. Rolled out, bounced, flew through the air, and freaking landed and slid down and freaking tore my hands up and freaking got up and walked away. I was like, what the fuck? It wouldn't fall out of a tree. That's about right. You know, I like the old Volvos from back then. Believe it or not, man, those cars, the little freaking Volvo sedans from the 80s, those things were the ideal suburban assault vehicle, man. You could beat the living crap out of those things and they would still run. You shoot holes in it and it would still rip the doors off and slam it into walls and it would still run. That thing would just go and go and go. Yeah, they don't make them like that anymore. All this time I thought it would be like an old Volkswagen Beetle that would still be running from the 60s, but nah, man, you don't see a lot of those anymore. Nope, it turned out to be the straight six Chevy. Made back in America when they made their own steel here. The Pinto? No shit. You ever seen those little Chevy Love pickups? I always wanted to try pulling the freaking, because the little forced banger in it is a 4-bolt main on that transmission. I always wanted to try to bolt a freaking Chevy 350 out of a Nova into it. But I'm afraid if you're, like you spin the tires and it catch some traction, it would just rip the whole transmission out. I don't know. I think probably need a better drivetrain. You definitely have to cut out some of the engine compartment, like probably trim out the wheel wells and remake them or something. 'Cause it would be just, man, yeah, you'd probably have to customize the radiator shroud and all that. Yeah, it would, until it hit traction. And like if you're spinning the tires on gravel and you hit pavement, it'd probably rip the whole rear end out because it's just so much power with such a like a matchstick rear, drivetrain. And you'd probably be all sideways for a while. You'd probably have a real hard time getting it to straighten out. Now I think it's better to keep the 350 in a something with a unibody frame and heavy steel. Hell, man, that Chevy two-door Nova hatchback was a pretty badass 70s. I think my favorite cars were made in 78, because that was the last year where you just get something right out of the factory that they just kept every year after year. They just kept making more horsepower, more muscle, more displacement, make a bigger cylinder, just give it more raw power, And then 78 was the last year they did that. And then after that, we're like, well, let's try to go for a shorter stroke and more revs and, get more power out of higher revving, get more streamlined, lighter body, more aerodynamic, and they didn't really go back to getting more raw power until they just started like turbocharging and shit. But before that, it was just, man, you just had more muscle in the engine. And that just all stopped in 78. And it was also right after the first time that they came out with an automatic transmission that could outperform any stick shift. And that was the turbo hydroglide transmission. And it was like, okay, now that was a game changer. It's like, you don't even have to shift anymore. Still had all that raw muscle power. And they were also getting to the day where, okay, they had power locks, power windows, and power steering and all that shit. It's like, okay, the cars were just starting to get comfortable and have all the cool options on them and shit. It was like, but they were still old and made of heavy steel and solid state parts and not computerized. You didn't have any computer diagnostics then. You just had to listen to it to see what's wrong. Even when it comes to diesels, man, I like working on the older ones. Like, man, give me an old Yanmar. The last diesel engine I had on my boat was made in, man, let me think, 1976. And it was the same, it was a Ferryman, which is the same motor that was used in World War II on personnel transport vessels. Just a big, huge V-twin that was just designed to just haul a huge weight through the water and run no matter what you did to it. It was designed to where you're supposed to be able to make it run with shoestring and bubble gum no matter what happened kind of engine. And it really was that. Yeah. Honestly, I like the way a big heavy steel body with a unibody frame and the rear wheel drive. I like the way they drive better. Like, I know a front wheel drive can grip the road around turns better, but sometimes you don't necessarily want to grip the road and you don't want to have a drift car. A rear wheel drive car can grip the fuck out of the road and really freaking move some steel fast. But then when you come to a corner, you can lose the grip and counter and drift around corners with the rear, you know. Yeah, the floating boat, you could freaking counter, do a hairpin turn in those things. I don't know, you had to know how to do it. But I don't know, man, you had to have the raw power, because you come in slow and then power out of the turn and you have absolute control and you can just spin the car, whip it around the hairpin. You can do that with rear wheel drive. Front wheel drive doesn't break traction in the front or the back when you want it to. I don't know, I just like, it feels better when you're pushing around the corner from the rear wheels, to me. If you hit the Mega Millions, yeah. If I hit the Mega Millions, I think the first thing I'd do would be to buy my mom a house, so she have a place. She don't have to pay rent anymore. She could take care of my little brother who can't, like, he's like in a wheelchair. And then he'd get the house after her. And next thing I'd do is I'd get a warehouse. I'd rent a warehouse. And I would build the ultimate bug out boat. Like, I would just scrap this one and start fresh with brand new. And with that kind of money, I could build it all exactly how I want, and, you know, make it look really nice. And it wouldn't have to be something built over the course of years. It'd be something I build, like, well, it might take a couple years to build, actually. But I definitely have my loop boat. I think then, after I got the, you know, I'd have to build something about the same size. Maybe a little bigger, but about the same size as this, but better. And with everything I've learned, you know. And then I'd probably go look for that piece of land, maybe Costa Rica, or, I mean, Puerto Rico, or, I don't know, American Bahamas, or, nah, not Bahamas. I don't know. I like the idea of just doing the loop every year and getting some kind of trade routes along that loop, where, you know, ideally I just move trade goods from south to north and north to south every year to pay for my trip and my cost of living and maintenance and shit. Do the odd jobs, or I think I could, There's some things I could show off building the technology on this boat just to prove that it works, and then people would want to pay me to do this at their house or on their property or something. You know, once they see that they can come and look at how it works on my boat and go, wow, if it'll do that with that little bit of space, man, imagine what it could do on the back of my shop with that same device, you know? I'm like, well, let's build it. You know, that's kind of another thing in the back of my mind, where I'm not just doing this willy-nilly for no reason, but I'm also not expecting all that to come about, just fall into my lap. It's just as it comes, as I can do it, I do it. Yeah. Oh man, I had an old 78 Cordoba. Oh, I had a 78 Buick Regal too that had a badass freaking setup. Both of them had the 4-barrel. I'd have to say the freaking Cordoba was definitely the faster of the two. It had a freaking big ass dump truck motor under the hood, 400 turbo hydroglide, and posi track rear end, unibody frame. That thing was a beast though, man. It was a beast. And man, it didn't look like much, but it was a sleeper, man. Like the shit brown paint job, I never tried to make it look nice, but I always had people pulling up next to me wanting to race, and just like, there wasn't a lot of cars out there that could outrun it off the line or top end. The thing would just go. Oh man, I remember one night, freaking some dude in a freaking 5-point slow with a 4 on the floor tried to get me to race him at like 3 o'clock in the morning, and it's just like, I blew the doors off this dude. I blew the doors off his car. Just as I'm passing him, I pass a parking lot full of cops. And this was in East Orlando. I'm like, damn. My first instinct, you know, like, here's the scene, man. I'm just blowing past him, and just as I do, there's these, I look to my right. I mean, I didn't look to my right, it was just there. There's 4 cars, and all the cops were out of their cars, and they were like talking to some kids. They had their ticket books out, and all their heads just whipped as we went by, and I know all they saw was like a brown streak. And I was like, man, my first instinct was to let off the gas, but then I'm like, no, what am I thinking? Those guys are still out of their car. If I punch the gas now, I'll be 2 miles away before they get in their car. Before they can get it in gear and freaking back out of the driveway, I'm gonna be another 4 miles away. So I put it to the floor for about 10 seconds. And man, I know dude got pulled over because he just faded into the background real quick. And I left him behind, went around a couple corners, and then as soon as I was like, okay, there's no headlights in the rear view, and I'm quite a ways away, I let off the gas and let it slow down enough to where I could ease onto the brake without wrecking, because I was doing like 180, you know, and I'm like, whoa. So ease onto the brake, glide down to slow enough speed to turn a corner, and I'll whip the first right, went down 2 blocks, made a left, right, left, right, left, right, left, and then I stopped in one of those spots like between 2 houses where neither home would really know which house you were visiting. Just turned the lights off and shut the motor off and sat there. I'm just listening for a minute, and like within a minute or two, it's like I hear these sirens in the background, and all of a sudden, was like every cop in the entire Tri-County area was there, man. I kept hearing whoosh, 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 shoot, shoot, shoot. And wait, I'm like, oh, wait a little longer. I hear some more sirens and then a few more. And a little longer, a few more sirens and another whoosh, 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 whoosh. Okay. And after about 5 minutes of no sirens, start the car up, turn the lights on, and go back the other way, and went all the way around the opposite end of town to get home. Oh, man, it took me an extra 4 hours to get home because I had to drive around the other side of town and go slow. But, man, you can't outrun the radio. And these days, man, you wouldn't believe how fast the cop cars go. Like, you can outdrive them, but you can't outrun the radio. So, yeah, not me. See, they saw you turn off the road. That's the trick. You can't turn off the main road that they're chasing you down unless you're out of sight. Woo! Oh, Firebird's another one. Oh, no, you know what? What was it? The 78 Trans Am. I believe that was the biggest engine they ever put in a freaking car back in those days. What did it have? The 455 or something? 450. I forget what the Trans Am had under it. That old 78 that was in like Smokey and the Bandit. No, there was a bigger one. The Trans Am, it had the 455, I believe. Well, it's a Pontiac. I thought, for some reason, I was thinking, yeah, I guess. I thought it was a 455. I thought the 454 was a GM motor. Whatever, I don't know. It's been a while. I was young. Yeah, it was the Trans Am. My dad got one to restore and gave it to my stepsister who knows nothing about mechanics, and it pissed me off so bad because that fucker never he gave her 3 different cars, never once gave me a fucking thing, and in fact made sure that I lost my car when I had one. Like, it's weird how he sabotaged me and then freaking gives so much to his stepdaughter. I think he had a thing for her. Freaking pervert. But man, I was so mad when he gave her that Trans Am because she just let it sit in the driveway until it went to shit and the county forced her to junk it. And I was just like, oh my fucking God, you fucking asshole. You have no idea that was the car I had always wanted to restore. Like, that's just because it was the last of the muscle cars, and it was famous car, and it was the biggest of the muscle cars, and it was just the best year of them. And I was just, man, that was like that 78 Trans Am with the 455 or 4, whichever one. Okay, yeah, well, Cadillacs don't count that, the deal. You do have a point. I wasn't counting Cadillacs because I don't really, yeah. Like, that's a whole different class. That's not really a car, that's a boat. Yeah, that's what I thought, a 454. And then the Pontiac is the 455, isn't it? Can somebody look it up? 78 Pontiac had a 455 in it. Yeah, I don't know what. YouTube's got him on the... Yeah, Pontiac and no, Buick wasn't. Buick was using the same engines as the Chevys. You look at a Buick 350 and a Chevy 350. The only difference is the oil pump and the distributor are on the opposite end of the engine. But it's GM. I know I had a 78 Regal, and it was a 350 GM with a 350 Hydroglide, and that thing was a fucking badass little car too. That thing would get up. Dude, it was just like the Chevy Nova 2-door hatchback, only better, because you could run it. Man, dude, I would run it up until the speedometer was pointing to reverse and lock in cruise control and run it like that for 10 hours straight, and it wouldn't overheat because it had a big triple coil radiator on it. For, you know, like Buick had a way better radiator than the Chevy. It ran cooler, but it's pretty much the same size and style of engine. Not a lot of difference in the drivetrain at all. I just remember, you know, no turbo, no NOS or nothing, just that 4-barrel Holley, 750, 800 4-barrel Holley on an engine like that. When you floor it, just as you're coming into third gear and you floor it, the whole thing would just kind of sputter for a second. It didn't just take off. It kind of said, what? It would go, and then the back end would sit down and the thing would take off like a freaking rocket, man. Just bury your head in the seat. On about the third gutter, it would go, whoa, and it just, wide open. And I would sit there, man, I'd be doing 180 down I-4, driving with my knee, smoking a joint and rolling another one. Like freaking thing would ride smooth, like your living room couch. You just needed a straight open road. Yeah, that was the trick. Is like if you're trying to race, you need to get a lower gear ratio and get it up off the line quick. But man, there's something to be said for the posi track. That thing, that's how I beat most of those 5-point slows. Is like they had more power, but their ass end was so light, and they didn't get, man, they tried putting all them traction bars in their suspension system, and they still couldn't get straightened out before I was gone. You know, I'd be 2.5 car lengths ahead off the line while they're getting sideways and trying to get straight again. And I wouldn't even barely chirp the tires taking off. Like, yeah, I'd give it about 1/3 to 1/2 of the gas off the line. You couldn't just floor it off the line. The engine, it would just boom and die. You know? But you give it about 1/3, and then ease it up to 1/2 right away, getting into second gear, and then wait till it hits third gear and then floor it. And yeah, it'll sit there and stutter a couple times and then squat and be gone. Like, and you would think it had a turbocharger on it, but no, that was just raw displacement. Just a shit ton of displacement and a big freaking carb. I never knew how fast I was going in that Buick, because you know there's a little peg. It had a round speedometer and it went up to 120, 125, but you know the motor was a lot faster than that. You know, I think maybe it showed 125, 130, I don't remember. But I remember that the peg at the end of the speedometer had rattled loose and fallen out of its threads. And it was just kind of rolling around in the bottom of the speedometer. So my needle didn't peg at the end. It would keep going around. And so I didn't know how fast I was going because the speedometer was pointing to reverse. Like, well, what happened, Chad? Yeah, that's the problem with the T-tops. They were a bitch. And that car that he gave my sister was a T-top. And I kind of was sweating that because I know you're going to have to, a car that old, you're going to have to freaking weld some flooring in it and redo some seals on the T-tops for sure. And then once you get them sealed, here's the thing with those old T-tops. When you restore one of those, you really don't open them anymore. Just leave them locked in place and don't really use them. They're just kind of there for show because they're kind of bulky and outdated now. We got sunroof and it makes T-tops obsolete. You still here, Chad? Sorry, I was sitting here. I wasn't ignoring you. I'm reading. Yeah, you might as well just seal them in and don't use them. You know, I mean, if you really want to show it off, you just know you got to reseal it every time you open them. It's the only thing I did not like about that car. Yeah, no, I was sitting here packing a bowl and wasn't looking at the screen for a minute. I'm just rambling. I do that too. Yeah, I get trolled a lot. I get reported and swatted for stupid shit I didn't do. And people like to come in and try to get me to say shit and twist my words. It's YouTube. That's the internet. I think every content creator out here deals with that shit. Yeah, most of the time when YouTube blocks it, there's sometimes when it gets blocked and I don't even get to read it. But yeah, I don't know. Most of the time when YouTube blocks it, I still read it, and I don't always respond verbally, but well, it looks like it's going to be like this until sunset. I think it's cold enough the gators probably went under, trying to stay warm at the bottom. It's pretty chilly out here now with all this rain which is a real nice change from the sweltering heat. We had a lot of this where it rained in the afternoon and then it'd get hot again and just get more muggy and worse. But when it rains until sunset, it's nice. That's one of those when it's going to be a nice cool night. Yeah, I'm definitely not a professional entertainer, and I got a short attention span and all this, like, you know, I'm just doing a life journeys journal. I'm really not trying to get famous for this or get employed by YouTube or anything like that. So, you know, I'm not trying to, this is all just straight raw footage off the cuff. There's no real plan for what I'm gonna say or talk about. I just go online to chat, or I'll stream if I see something like a gator or some kind of animal I want to film, you know. Yeah, it is very wonky live stream. I have no format. I have no, like, there's no real content category. It's just, hey, y'all want to chat while I'm here in a storm? You know, like, a lot of times, hey, the thunderstorms are so loud I can't even hear my phone when I'm watching a movie. And I don't want to, like, I gotta either be charging it or have headphones on. They both use the same port. So it's either charging, if I'm low battery, charging the phone, I can't use the headphones. Storming, can't hear the phone. No point in watching a movie. Bored of all my games. I'm gonna live stream so y'all can watch this storm with me. You know, like, I don't have a format. Yeah, some of my shit, I found out I can't do karaoke on YouTube because, you know, it's copyrighted content. But there's all these cover bands, but for some reason, if I don't, even if I'm using my voice, like, they won't let me do a cover of another person's song. So I put a bunch of cover songs up and they flagged them all and took them down and warned me, and I quit doing that. I'm like, okay, now you have to go to the freaking karaoke app if you want to see me sing. If you want to hear me sing, you got to go to, the fuck is the name of that? Star Maker. You can download it. It's a bunch of freaking ads and it's people singing terribly in karaoke. And there's some good singers, but good luck finding them. Oh shit! In a Mike Myers mask. Why the fuck did they flag that? Man, that's stupid. What were you singing? Because that's like getting flagged for putting on a Guy Fawkes mask. Oh, let me tell you what, man. I was in a parade in New Orleans one time. I put on a Guy Fawkes mask and this long black cloak. And dude, I had women all up and down Bourbon Street throwing it at me, like trying to drag me into their apartment and bone me. Just because like, you haven't even seen my face. And they're like, no, leave the mask on. I'm serious. Yeah, well, Chad, you can go to Star Maker and you can sing your own song there, and then you can post the link on other social media for them to go to the app and look at it. But you can't do, I don't know, what is it with YouTube and music? You have to like prove some copyright or something. It's insane. And you think this is just some public forum. You know what the world needs is a public video forum where you can just, like, dude, anybody can chat with whoever they want, and just create chat rooms just like where you don't have to text. You know, we could all face to face. Why is it so difficult for us to have a freaking, like, why don't we have chat conferences where people can just talk about the world and life and what they believe? You know, it's sickening when you find out that they have Facebook is so regulated and censored. That really pissed me off to find out that they're willfully censoring. The FBI is making them censor Facebook, and it's like, damn, okay, that's the biggest public forum in the world. Nah, Star Maker's on Play Store. It's an app you got. It's a separate app completely. But it's just where you can do karaoke. And you can corroborate with other singers. There's like shit tons of other singers hear your shit and they want to like do a duet with you or something. I forgot what's my user ID. If you go on there, my user ID is Captain Kedgelot. I'm Captain Kedger on YouTube, but I'm Captain Kedgelot on Star Maker. Yeah, the way Dorcas spelled it, exactly. Same thing, no spaces, capital C, capital K, but a lot at the end instead of Keeping it simple. Right on. Are you going to use your same name there? Or something similar enough that I'd recognize Chad Dawson on it? Because, yeah, look up my, find my user ID, and when you get it downloaded and make your what you call it, your profile. It's pretty cool because you can upload videos to it of yourself or doing your own thing and then make that the background of your song, you know. You can make a montage of old pictures of you and just, you know, it's pretty cool that you can, it's got some pretty good sound functionality too. Even on the free version, you got some pretty good EQ options to mess around with your sound. You might find issue with like the lyrics and timing ain't always perfect in time with the music. Like the prompt, the little prompter telling you when to sing, when, on what note, you know, it's like, it's sometimes off and you just gotta like know the words and ignore the prompter and just like go along with the sound. You know, just follow the sound in your head and sing along, but don't. Sometimes you can't trust the prompter's timing. It might be a half measure or measure off. I think I've posted at least 100 songs, or I might have a few that are doubled up, posted 2 or 3 times, but yeah, you could go on there and hear me sing, and then you'll find out why I'm not a professional singer. I'm like out here canoeing, because I sing just as bad as anyone else. Anybody seen one of these before? You know what that is? Anybody guess what this is? I'll give you a hint. It's not what it looks like. Is that your final answer? It's not a one-hitter, but you're close. Well, he is right in that it's a smoking implement, not a spark plug. The mouthpiece, see the hole in the tip? And that's where you put the fire, but it holds a lot more than just one hit. And it's actually got a pretty decent sized chamber. But yeah, from the side, see, that's something you can put in your toolbox. And it just blend right in with everything in there. I do a lot of mechanic work, so it's not unusual for me to have a spark plug laying in a tray full of tools and bolts. I mean, on Star Maker, I mean, you have to create an account, but I don't know how to describe it. Just go look at the options at the top. Just surf around in it. You'll see how, find the search and type in my username. And it didn't come up. That's weird. I thought Devin found it. How did you type it exactly? Because you might have typed it wrong. You got to go capital C and captain, and capital K for Kedgelot. Kedgealot. And if you typed it exactly like that, it should come up. Like, you may not recognize the pictures of me because it's old. I mean, those are, I got some older pictures on there when I was much younger. There's like, I don't know, some of them should stand out as, you know, like I'm on a boat. It shows me canoeing in one of my videos. Oh, I think there's a video, an old video of me from like 15 years ago standing on the bow of a canoe that I had sail rig on. It had outriggers for sailing that were just 2x4s and water, like Hawaiian punch bottles. I was standing on the bow of it, just showing the view. And man, I sailed that canoe from Tampa to Miami. Long time ago. It was all over the news too, because that's the one I was sailing on. The sails were made of folded, stitched up bed sheets, and the mast and boom was made of hanger rods from a closet, a wooden dowel. A little 2-inch wooden dowel was my mast and boom. And just had these custom made, homemade bed sheet sails, and I had Hawaiian punch bottle floats on the stabilizers and 2x4 amas, and it was just janky rigged, jury rigged all to hell, but it fucking scooted right along. Like, you wouldn't believe the way that thing would scoot along and sail like badass little water skipper. And that was actually the original water skipper. It was a 17-footer. Yeah, I can't go look at the app right now without ruining my stream. I can't. When I'm using the mobile YouTube stream, I can't even look on Google or anything, or just the stream dies. Don't have a lot of options on here. I can't even look on somebody's YouTube profile or look at someone else's channel while I'm streaming on this, not on the mobile app. I think you can do shit like that from the computer. There's a lot more options, but not from this mobile app. But yeah, I might have my user ID. I mean, I think that's how did you spell my user ID when you searched it? Like, type it up on the screen just to see if just make sure you're getting it right, because that's probably what it is. I mean, yeah, it don't matter. It's no biggie. I'm not a good singer, so it's not like something I'm like trying to get everybody go hear me sing. It's more like, here's a karaoke app that's pretty fun to fuck around with. Because you were mentioning you were trying to do that on YouTube. Yeah. I think if you like to post your music online, you might have fun with that app. And I don't even know if it allows you to... I think there should be an option to do your own original music there without background. Or you may be able to just do something to a generic drum beat they have or something, the rhythm. Yeah, as far as I can remember, that's exactly how it goes. Unless maybe it might be a @ symbol in front of it. At Captain Kedula, I don't know. Do the other users have a @ before their username? Nah, because you're already within the site. Why would it do that? That's not like an email. Guppy Fever Mike. Welcome here, Mike. Hello. Yeah, I don't know. Maybe also I can, once you get something going on that site, you can come in here and type your username. I can write it down and search it and add you that way. I'm pretty much done streaming for the night anyway. I just wanted to show off this storm that I was sitting here through and let y'all know what I go through when it gets a little rough. Like how it's like, yeah, it was pretty rough out there, but I did pretty well in here considering I'm under some flimsy tarps with some, you know, canvas curtains. This little vessel handled being back here in the cove, no problem. Yeah, I appreciate you guys, everybody coming in and doing their input, or if you're just sitting here and enjoying the scene, it's all good. Man, I always appreciate everybody's input. I like when people, I don't mind even when people argue with me. Like if it's something they really believe in and I don't agree necessarily, that's fine. Even if we come in, as long as there's logical reasoning going on and a discussion about it, that's not just like, oh fuck your feelings kind of thing. It's more about, well, this is how I think things work. And look, most of us, believe it or not, left and right, most of us kind of want the same things for society. We just disagree on how we should make the laws to arrive at that. And you'd be surprised at how many things the right and the left could agree on if they'd really focus on, hey, is this really my enemy, or is this just somebody who like is misguided about how we should arrive at what we're both agreeing we should have. Yeah, Dorcas, I'm kind of winding down, but I just kind of had to make that political statement too before I go. Is I want to, because I'm always trying to encourage people to understand that when you look up to Capitol Hill, to the people making the laws, there's no left and right to them. All the left and right up there is all a show to get you, the people, left and right, afraid of or hating each other in any way possible. Like, that's the plan. If you're mad at the left, you hate the neighbor on your right, you're doing exactly what they're intended. You're thinking the way they've trained you to think. And so I'm trying to get people to go, hey man, let's maybe look at their point of view, no matter how far you have to look. You might have to get, one of those cameras that you can insert into their butt to get the point of view that they're having. But if you can get that camera in there and see their point of view, and just forget how asinine their method and their ideology is, and just think, what is it they're really wanting to get out of that movement? Because there's a turd up there they're trying to shit out. And sometimes there's a valid point. They're just confused as to how we should arrive at that kind of, most people I know don't want people in Congress eating our children. And most people I know don't think that child trafficking is okay, whether they're on the left or the right. And you know, most people understand that you're not supposed to block off the freeway. That we need that to get to work, to pay our bills and shit. Like, it's not okay to block off people's use of the interstates and critical infrastructure. It's not okay. You know, and most of us understand that. You know, most of us don't want the government enforcing religious laws on any of us, of any type, from any religion, regardless of what religion you might believe in. You don't want the government governing that religion on you, because then you have no freedom of choice. You know, but I just want to encourage people to try to relate to their neighbor's point of view, however asinine it may seem. Try to figure out where you come to common ground and where you can agree. And then if you still can't talk them out of stupid, and they're still just incredibly stupid, then if nothing else, try to love them anyway and realize that it's not their fault that they've been brainwashed. Because that's probably what's happened. You know, and so they're just as much a victim as the other people that are fooled by whatever they've been taught to think. You know, everybody is a victim of it, except the ones orchestrating it. You know, I was thinking the same thing. She hasn't. Oop, are we back? I was thinking the same thing. I hadn't seen Susan. She was here earlier, though. Might still be bouncing around, just listening in the background. I don't know. I'm really good at missing people's, or people will type. She was typing in and I maybe wasn't commenting on what she was typing. That's something I should get better at, is the regulars, when they type something, I need to say something in response to it, because I forget that the live stream ends up posted and their chat text doesn't. The only thing posting in the stream is my speech. I sometimes forget how this YouTube thing works, and I realize my viewers don't get to read what my posters are posting. And that could look especially bad when I start talking to a troll who's prodding me. If I forget, wait a minute, nobody gets to read what this troll is posting, but they get to hear what I'm responding with. Duh. You know, I bet that would solve a lot of the trolling problem, is if all the text showed up in the video. Like, why doesn't it? Okay. Wow, so I gotta start streaming off the laptop then, huh? Is that, you know, I've never tried it. I have never, and why not? I could Bluetooth the Wi-Fi connection from my phone to the laptop and try streaming that way. I'm not going to do that now, because I'm not gonna run my inverter this late after running the chiller all evening and day. Like, I've drained my uh, backup battery down, and I'm down to the house battery now. I need to keep lights running all night, so I can't do any big drain on the inverter till daylight. If I could remember to charge the laptop up tomorrow during the day, then maybe I could get it and the phone connected and go ahead and do the evening stream with it. Might be a little more fun. Why not? Well, either way, I know there's definitely other options available from the laptop. I know there's a lot more controls available. I don't know what all is available because I've never done it. But it seems like if I decided to go that route once in a while, it would probably make the chats a little more interesting. It could be a little bit of a milestone, I've gone over a freaking 100 videos posted and freaking done 1,000 miles of cruising on YouTube, documenting it on YouTube, the passages, and still never went on with a laptop. Yeah, that's what I thought. I don't think the difference is whether or not you're on a laptop. The difference is whether or not I'm on a phone or a laptop. There's just a lot more options of what I can stream from the laptop. I think maybe if I buy YouTube Premium, I might be able to do more from the mobile app too. But I don't know. I don't know if I want to put that. I don't know if I ever want to connect my credit card to the freaking YouTube app, That's just something I really hesitate to do because okay, that's weird. You sure you're not just... Are you sure there was live chat in the one you were watching? That's weird, man. What the hell? Is YouTube just like getting janky with me and half working and half not? Is that what's going on? Who knows? I don't know. But I think I'm going to try to remember that tomorrow. See what happens. See how it goes running from the lappy toppy. I don't know. No, most of that stuff that I previously uploaded is just raw, straight from the phone. There's only the Stingray video was filmed with an underwater camera, processed on the laptop and then uploaded. So that one's edited, and then there's one other there's one other that I mean there's a few that I cut a lot out just to, because it was just a bunch of dumb shit. But one or two interesting things, you know. But other than that, it's pretty much just raw footage straight from my phone. I haven't used any editing tools except on the Stingray one. And the Stingray one, all I did was like, it was kind of murky where the first Stingray came into view. I just wanted to kind of draw the eye to that. So I put some little bubbles in the scene where the Stingray was coming from. And then because I couldn't talk, I just put some captions to narrate what I was thinking and kind of my thoughts as I was doing the dive. And I expect I'll be getting more of that kind of thing, especially once I get this boat more built for open water. Then I'll definitely be doing more of that shit. But next winter I expect I'll get a lot more underwater footage. It's just, yeah, I don't know. I may have to switch to a kayak to go out on the reefs, or at least a paddleboard. This is not really the ideal vessel for that. Got dripping somewhere. Where in the hell is my... Oh, it's up on the deck. That's fine. Alright, y'all. And with that, I'm out of here for the night. Y'all have a good night. Enjoy the evening. Be kind and be kind to yourselves. And I'll see you next time.